Right now, as you're listening to this, the government is making you poorer. And the worst part, you can't see it happening. $200 sits in your bank account. Today, it has value. But 6 months from now, that same $200 won't buy what it does today. Why? Because someone, somewhere, just got rich at your expense. This is the Cantillon Effect. And once you understand it, you'll never look at money the same way again. Most people think inflation is just something that happens, like the weather, random, unpredictable, fair. But it's not fair. It's rigged. And the rigging happens in a very specific order that determines who gets wealthy and who gets left behind. Today, we're breaking down the hidden mechanism that's been widening the wealth gap since 1755, and why bankers have understood this secret for centuries while you probably haven't. Before we explain the mechanism, let's travel back to 1755. An Irish-French economist named Richard Cantillon was trying to solve a puzzle that most people never even asked. When governments print new money, who benefits first? What he discovered was so profound that it explains almost every major economic crisis in modern history. It explains why the rich got richer after the 2008 financial collapse, while average families lost their homes. It explains why your savings are worth less every year, while the stock market reaches all-time highs. It explains why you're working harder but falling further behind. Cantillon figured it out 3 centuries ago. His answer? The people closest to the money printer always win. Everyone else? They lose. But the thing that's crazy is this mechanism has gotten more powerful, not less. With digital money and quantitative easing, it's never been easier for those at the top to access new money first. Imagine a printing press in the Federal Reserve Building. It's 2020. The pandemic hits. Fear spreads faster than the virus. The central bank makes a decision. We need to inject trillions of dollars into the economy. But here's the thing. That money doesn't just appear in everyone's bank account equally. It never does. The newly printed money flows directly into the banking system. JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, they get access first. Now, at this moment, prices haven't changed yet. A house still costs $300,000. A car still costs $30,000. But these banks now have freshly printed trillions sitting in their accounts. They do what any rational actor would do. They invest before prices rise. They buy real estate. They buy companies. They buy assets. They know prices are about to explode, so they lock in today's prices before the rush. Then, and this is critical, the money slowly trickles down. The banks lend to hedge funds. Hedge funds invest in startups. Some money flows to corporations for stock buybacks. Corporate executive stock options become worth 40% more overnight without anyone producing anything of value. Money flows to real estate investors who buy apartment buildings at $2 million. 3 months later, they're worth $2.8 million. Meanwhile, you at your job, you're doing the same work, your salary is the same, but you're arriving late to the party. By the time new money reaches workers and savers, if it reaches them at all, prices have already soared. The money in your savings account has less purchasing power. Your salary buys less stuff. Your rent goes up 15%. Your grocery bill jumps 20%. You feel poorer. You are poorer, even though you haven't done anything wrong. And the most infuriating part? The government and mainstream media blame you. Stop being lazy. Stop buying coffee. Stop eating avocado toast. As if your personal spending habits created a $1 trillion printing mechanism you have zero control over. But now you see it. You understand the game. The closer you are to the money printer, the more you win. The further you are, the more you lose. The rich get richer not because they're smarter. They get richer because they're first in line. They get new money before you do. They buy assets before prices rise. By the time you sit up enough to buy, they've already made 40% gains. This isn't theory. Let's look at the actual evidence. Between 2008 and 2024, the Federal Reserve expanded the money supply tenfold, from $2 trillion to nearly $20 trillion. If that new money was distributed evenly, everyone should have gotten richer. But that's not what happened. During that exact same period, the wealth of the top 0.1% in America more than tripled, a 200% increase. And the bottom 50%? Their wealth went up just 12%. Let that sink in. The ultra-wealthy saw their money multiply by 3. The average person's barely grew. Worse, Real wages for the average worker have been flat for 30 years. You're working just as hard as someone in 1994, but your paycheck buys less. This isn't an accident. It's an economic principle called the Cantillon Effect. Here's how it works. When you increase the money supply by 10x, but that money flows first to those who already own assets, asset prices go up. The stock market soars, real estate soars. But wages, the mean income for 90% of people, stay flat. It's an invisible transfer of wealth from those who trade time for money to those who own things. And what's scary is that this is accelerating. In the past, this process took months. Today, central banks create trillions in a single meeting. Digital money moves at light speed. The printing never stops. We even saw a version of this in crypto. When Bitcoin launched in 2009, right after the Fed's first major injection, early holders got in near the money printer. The irony is that a system supposedly created to fix the old one operates on the same principle. So what can you do? Panicking is the worst response. Resignation is what the system wants. Instead, you have to understand the game. First, recognize that income and wealth are different. Making a six-figure salary doesn't make you wealthy. Owning assets that generate wealth does. This means you have to stop thinking only like an employee and start thinking like an owner, even on a small scale. When you own an asset, a piece of a company, a piece of real estate, you benefit when the currency gets weaker. Your assets become worth more in dollar terms. This isn't about blaming yourself for falling behind. It's about understanding that the financial system is designed for people closest to the money printer to win. The problem isn't your work ethic. The problem is the mechanism. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Money isn't neutral. It is a mechanism for transferring wealth from those furthest from the money printer to those closest to it. Every time the government prints money, every time there's an emergency injection, wealth is redistributed, and it almost always flows upward. While you're waiting for the system to change, the system is changing your reality. Your purchasing power declines. Your ability to afford a home diminishes. Your savings depreciate. The Cantillon Effect is real. It's been real for 270 years. And now that you know how it works, you have a choice. You can ignore it and hope things work out. Or you can actually understand how money works and make decisions that protect you. That's the real education they don't teach in schools. If you're starting to see the hidden architecture of wealth, then you need to understand the deeper mechanics of how money and power really work. That's what we're building here on this channel. Every single week, we break down the behavioral finance concepts, the psychological tricks, and the system mechanics that the wealthy already know, but that they never teach anyone else. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next layer. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.